All right, let's talk about FTMO. It's a company that's really trying to solve one of the biggest, if not the biggest, problem that traders face. We're going to break down how they give skilled traders the one thing they need more than anything else to really make it: capital.
I mean, this is the classic story, isn't it? You've spent countless hours honing a strategy, you've got the skills, you feel confident, but you just don't have a big enough account to turn that expertise into a real income. It's a frustrating spot to be in.
And that's exactly where proprietary firms, prop firms, step in. Their whole reason for existing is to fix this problem. They basically act as talent scouts for traders. They find the skill and they provide the cash. You trade their money and you both share in the profits. It's a pretty powerful idea.
So, here's the game plan for today. We'll kick things off with what FTMO actually is. Then, we'll walk through their whole evaluation process, the rules and all that. After that, we'll get into the big one. Is it worth it? We'll also tackle the psychology, which is huge, and wrap up with some solid tips for success. Let's do it.
Okay, first up, what is FTMO? Well, in the world of prop firms, FTMO is definitely one of the biggest names out there. They've really made a name for themselves by creating a very clear, structured path for traders to get their hands on some serious trading capital.
So here's the deal they offer, and you can see why it turns heads. First, they can give you a trading account of up to $200,000. The best part? You get to keep up to 90% of the profits you make. And get this, if you pass their evaluation, they give you your initial fee back. Plus, for all you automated traders out there, they're cool with you using expert advisors or EAs.
And this quote from trader Renee Balke just nails the appeal. It's not just about the money. He says it's like the gamification of trading. And that's so true. It turns this often lonely pursuit into a structured challenge with levels you can pass and real rewards you can unlock. It's pretty cool.
Now, obviously, you can't just walk in and get that capital. You've got to prove you know what you're doing. FTMO has this very specific evaluation process with some very strict rules you have to play by. This is where you really have to understand the game.
The whole journey is laid out in 3 stages. First up is the challenge. This is where you trade on a demo account and have to hit a certain profit target. If you can do that, you move on to the verification. The profit target here is a little easier, but it's all about proving you're consistent. Past that, and boom, you become a funded FTMO trader, and you start trading with real capital and earning real money.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty, because these rules are everything. For the challenge, stage 1, you're aiming for a 10% profit. For verification, that drops to 5%. But honestly, forget about the profit targets for a second. The rules that really define this whole thing are the loss limits. You absolutely cannot lose more than 5% in a single day or 10% overall. Breaking these rules means game over.
And there was a major change they made that was an absolute game changer. They used to have this 30-day time limit, and the pressure was just immense. They got rid of it. And for so many traders, that was the single thing that allowed them to succeed. It means you can be patient. You can wait for your best setups and trade your strategy the right way, instead of just forcing trades to beat the clock.
So, you've seen what they offer, and you've seen the rules of the game. Now for the million-dollar question. Is it actually worth it? Because like anything that looks this good, there are some serious upsides, but also some very real risks you need to think about.
Okay, so the pros. They're pretty obvious, and they can be life-changing. You get to trade with capital you probably couldn't access otherwise. You keep most of the profits, and you can even build a scalable career. But the cons are no joke. First, you pay a fee for the challenge, and if you fail, that money's gone. The psychological pressure of staying within those loss limits is intense. And you gotta remember, the prop firm industry itself can be a bit wild. Not all of them are built to last.
But to make the pro side feel a little more real, check out this number. A single trader, Renee Balke, pulled in over $10,000 in profit from just one of his FTMO accounts. So yeah, for the traders who can figure out how to play by the rules, the financial reward is absolutely there.
And that brings us to what I think is the hardest part of this whole thing. It's not about finding a profitable strategy, it's all about what's going on between your ears. Managing your own psychology while trading under FTMO's rules, that's the real battle.
This quote just hits so hard because it's so real. Look, taking a loss is part of trading, but taking a big drawdown on a funded account, it just feels different. Losing $6,000 on your own account stinks, but on an FTMO account, a loss like that puts you terrifyingly close to breaking a rule and losing everything. Your ability to stay calm during those swings is what separates success from failure.
And this chart does a brilliant job of showing why it feels so different. Let's imagine you risk 250 euros on a single trade. On a big personal account, that might be nothing, maybe 0.5% of your capital. But on a 100K FTMO account, where your max loss is 10K, that same 250 euro risk is suddenly 2.5% of your total allowed drawdown. Every single trade just feels heavier because it uses up a much bigger chunk of your buffer.
So, knowing all that, the pressure, the psychology, the strict rules, how do you actually pull this off? Well, for our last section, we're going to get into some practical tips straight from a funded trader who's in the trenches doing this every day.
Okay, here are the keys. First, this is not the time to be trying out new ideas. You need a strategy that you have backtested and that you trust completely. Second, be ready to adapt. If your normal strategy doesn't use a stop loss, for instance, you have to change it to fit FTMO's rules. Third, your risk management has to be on point. Successful traders often risk tiny amounts, like 0.25% per trade, just to stay safe. Also, keep a trading journal. And one last thing for the EA users, be careful with really popular public EAs. If tons of people are using the same one, prop firms might flag you for copy trading.
So, what's the bottom line here? FTMO is a massive, powerful opportunity. It lets you jump over the biggest hurdle most traders ever face, not having enough capital. But it's not some magic bullet. It's a high-stakes test that will push your discipline, your mental game, and your ability to stick to a plan like nothing else.
And that really just leaves one final question. And this one's for you to think about. When you look honestly at your trading strategy, your discipline, and your own mental toughness, is taking the FTMO challenge the right move for you, right now? The answer to that is going to tell you if this is just a cool idea, or if it could be the actual start of your trading career. Thanks for tuning in.